Hi everybody, so today we are going to be looking at translations of functions, and a translation of a function is basically describing movement of a function. So how does a function slide or move? And we can slide either up or down, or we could go left or right. So let's look at the first one. The first one says f of x. So what we're going to do is we are going to take our graphing calculators and we are going to put in x squared in our graphing calculators and see what our graph looks like. Okay, so go ahead, type y equals, clear whatever's in there, and our first one is x squared. So when we hit graph, so the basic shape of this is a U. And if you notice, the key point is down at the bottom, and that's right at 0, 0. So let's go ahead and graph that. So we said our key point is at 0, 0, and it is the shape of a U, and it keeps going on forever and ever, and so we'll have arrows on both ends. So that is what x squared looks like. So let's look at the next one. Let's move this over here. All right, and now we're going to do x squared plus 4. So let's go back to our y equals, and now we're going to type in x squared plus 4, and then I'm going to change this line to be pink. Hit graph, and it looks like this now is up a little bit. So it's up right below the 5. So we're going to go up a little bit, and we did this one in pink. So let's see if I can change it to pink. Okay. So change it to pink, up a little bit to around here, and then I'm going to draw a U. Okay. And then our third equation, and anyone have any ideas that what this one might do? So let's type it in, y equals. So let's go back to our y equals. And we'll type in x squared minus 4, and what we're typing in is just this right side of the equal sign. And I'm going to change this line to blue. So x squared minus 4, hit graph, and now this one looks like it's gone down below, and we will draw a U. And those are the 3 graphs together. All right, so we can already look at this next one, and it says f of x equals x squared, and we know that the basic f of x function starts at 0, 0 and is shaped like a U. So we can go ahead and draw that. And let's go and look at our graphing calculator, and let's see what this is going to look like. And we're going to type parenthesis x plus 4 parenthesis squared in our graphing calculator. All right, so let's type this in our graphing calculator. Parenthesis x plus 4 squared. Let's hit graph, and this line's pink, and it looks like, so we started at 0, 0, and that key point went left 4. So we're left 4, and it looks still like a U. And then let's go back and let's do the next part, and it's in blue. Parenthesis x minus 4 parenthesis squared. Hit graph, and now we started at 0, 0, And it looks like now we are over to the positive 4. So it looks like we have gone right, and it's shaped like a U. All right, let's kind of like summarize what happened here. So the question is, like our parent function, what happened if we add a number on the outside of a parenthesis? So like what we did here at this top one on number 2. What happened at this one? It looks like we went up 4. So when we have this plus 4 that's not in a parenthesis but it's outside, we are moving up 4. So let's go down to our notes section, and it says what happens when we have the plus k on the outside. It looks like we have our function that goes up k. So k can be any number, and but just the biggest thing is to make sure that our function goes up. Now, if we look and we see if it has a minus k, so let's go to the very top of our graph over here on the top right. This has a minus k here. On our graph, it looks like we went down. And in this case, we went down 4 because that was a number there. So we go back, minus k, that's really telling us to go down whatever number k is. And then we look here and we have plus m on the inside. So here, looking at the bottom middle problem, we have plus 4 on the inside of our parentheses. So when I talk about inside, we are doing the inside of our parentheses. And it looks like when we started at 0, 0, we are going left 1, 2, 3, 4. So this graph went left 4. So when we are a plus on the inside, we are actually going in the direction of the left, whatever that m is. And then now we're looking at x minus m. So if plus m was left, minus m has to be right. So let's just check to make sure that that's correct. So up here at the top, we have a minus 4 on the inside of our parentheses. And it looks like from 0, 0, we're going right 1, 2, 3, 4. So we did go right and we did go 4 because that's the number inside the parenthesis. Okay, so we're going to need to figure out what we just learned and break this equation down to see how it translated and how it moved. So we have plus 1 here. Plus 1 is outside the parentheses. If it's outside the parentheses and we're doing plus, that means we need to move up 1. We also have minus 3, but this minus 3 is inside the parentheses. So because it's inside the parentheses, okay, that means we are going to go, okay, so inside the parentheses, it's a minus. So that means that we are going to go right. And in this case, the number is 3. So we're going to go up 1, right 3. So we have 2 points on this graph. We have a point here, and we have a point there. We're going to move each of those points up 1, right 3. So I'm going to go up 1, which will be there, and right 3. 1, 2, 3, and that is where my new point will be. So I'll take my next point and I'll go right 1 and right 3, 1, 2, 3, up 1. And I will connect them. And then this new line is actually called g of x minus 3 plus 1. So that is exactly what we have written up there. Okay, now we're going to look at example number 2. It says write an equation for f of x in terms of m of x. So we need to figure out how f of x moved starting with m of x. So in terms of m of x. So first of all, we have to figure out how did m of x move to become f of x. So if we look, I'm going to just pick this point here. We had to go up 1. So we went up 1. And we go right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We went right 5. So the translation here is up 1 and right 5. So when we're writing this, so f of x, which is the equation that we want, has to equal. And we took m, right? And what did we do? So we want up 1. This up 1 is going to, so upper right has to be outside the parentheses. So we're going to move it here. Up 1 is really plus 1 on the outside of the parenthesis. And then we need to go right 5. To describe a translation of right 5, we need to put that inside of our parenthesis. And right 5 is really minus 5. And then we just need to put our x in there, and this is our function. Okay, let's look at example 3. So it says f of x is graphed on a coordinate plane. G of x is the result of transforming 3 units to the left and 1 unit down. Write an equation for g of x in terms of f of x. Okay, so because it says write an equation for g of x here, we are going to start with writing g of x equals. Now, it says in terms of f of x, so we have to say f here. Now, we have our parentheses, and we need to figure out what's going to go inside. So what's inside is either going to be right or left. In the sentence, what direction are they moving, right or left? So here they said left 3 units. So 3 units to the left. So left will be plus 3. It's opposite what do you think when it's inside. And then we have to figure out where this 1 unit down is going to go. So 1 unit down is actually on the outside, and down is minus. So here is our equation. Okay, let's try these. And I like these because it's actually a graph. So we're going to have to figure out what translations are happening. So here we have plus 4 on the inside. Plus 4 on the inside is left 4. So inside the parentheses, that's left 4. And then we have -2 on the outside, and that will tell us to move down 2. So we're going to find our points. Okay, so I'll start at this point. I need to go left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down 2. 1, 2. There's my point. And then the other one, left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, down 2, 1, 2, and there's my last point, and I will connect them. So this right here is, this equation here is f of x. Okay, so we need to write an equation for f of x in terms of p of x. So we need to start at p, and p is here. And the reason why I could tell is because they have p of x written right next to this line. So I'm going to take this very bottom point, and I'm going to count and figure out how it got to the vertex, so the same bottom point of f of x. So let's go ahead and count. So I go left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I went left 6. So I'm going to write that here, left 6. And then I went up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I went up 5. Okay, and we are going to need to fill in our functions. So because we're solving for f of x is on the outside. So left 6, that goes inside our parentheses. And left is plus, and then it's the number 6. And then up or down goes outside our parentheses, and up is plus 5. So our final function says f of x equals p times x plus 6, because it moved left 6, parenthesis plus 5, because it went up 5. Okay, so let's do a quick recap here in looking at translation of functions. So if we have m, which is the number inside the parentheses with the x, if it's a plus m, we are really moving left. If it's a minus m, we are really moving right. If it's a plus k, we are moving up. And if it's a minus k, we are moving down. Okay, so let's do number 1. It says the graph of f of x is given. Graph g of x. If f of x is translated and it says 2 spaces to the right, so you need to go 2 spaces to the right and 3 spaces up. So go ahead and do that. Number 2, it says the function f of x is shifted 4 units to the right and 2 units up. Write an equation for g of x in terms of f of x. So I'm going to go ahead and get you started. So we want to write an equation. We want to write an equation for g of x, and it needs to be f and then of x, and then I'm going to kind of leave this blank. So you're going to have to write something here, parenthesis, and then you got to also remember something outside here. And then look to the left because I have this key so you can figure out if you need to add or subtract m or k. Number 3, function f of x undergoes a single transformation to create the function g of x. Both graphs are shown. Write an equation for g of x in terms of f of x. So I do not want you to write an equation. However, I want you to tell me what is the transformation. We're starting here at f of x. What does f of x do to get to g of x? So how does f of x, which is the red, so that's the red equation, how does it translate? So how does it move? Okay, the function f of x is graphed below. The function g of x is defined by, so g of x equals f of x minus 2 plus 4. So let's figure out what the translation is. Annabelle. Okay, so let's look at our function here, and I also have these little notes below. So you're going to tell me what happens. So what happened here? What transformation is that? And then also, what does this plus 4 on the outside do? And then after you figure out the transformations, I now want you to graph this new function doing your transformations you have listed below.